So I debated on doing this video. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it because I don't like to pick on people or seem like I'm picking on people or pick apart people. But I felt like this was something I wanted to discuss, so I'm just doing kind of an off-the-cuff video. This is about a feature that IGN put up where some of their PlayStation-focused people are talking about the Nintendo Switch. And I have nothing against any of these people over at IGN, and I'm not here to ridicule them or badmouth them or anything like that. I'm going to try and stay information focused and not have this turn into, some kind of childish back and forth or something like that. I just want to discuss where I feel like their argument may be lacking a little bit. And I also want to point out Destin used to work for Go Nintendo. Destin used to do updates over at Go Nintendo, and then he moved over to IGN, so certainly no ill will towards any of the guys, but specifically Destin too, because we used to work together. So enough about that. Let's look at some of this feature that IGN put together. Talking about the Switch again. This is their PlayStation crew.
I will say that we are now firmly in the same place where you can look at like the image for the Sonic the Hedgehog cycle and you can put Nintendo consoles in there, because I think we all have done that thing now where we've been like, this is the one, this is going to be the system that revolutionizes everything, this is going to be the one that gets all the third-party support in the world, and then the specs come in, and then like the battery life come in, and like all the other stuff starts coming in.
All right, first things first, there's still so much we don't know about the Switch. And two things we specifically don't know are specs and battery life. When it comes to specs, I think it's easy to see that the Switch is not going to be on par with PS4 and Xbox One. I'm sure there will be some games that will be able to appear on all systems. I mean, we're seeing that already with Rime, and Rime isn't something that's, pushing PS4 or Xbox One to its limits, but the game is appearing on Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. So there will be some third-party and some indie games that appear on all platforms. And then battery life, we have no idea what battery life is right now. We've heard rumors of 3 hours. We've heard rumors of the battery life getting a bump up depending on how hard the game pushes the system. And then on top of all that, if you're talking about it from a console perspective, then battery life shouldn't matter because you're going to be playing at home. You're going to have your rechargeable controller, your controller with batteries, whatever it is, and that shouldn't be an issue. So I don't know if he's arguing the console problems right now or the portable problems, or he's just looking for problems to come up with. But there's still too many what-ifs for us to say, oh, battery life sucks, I don't want it, or oh, doesn't have enough horsepower, it's going to be a piece of crap.
It means that you have a lot of companies and developers sacrificing their vision to port a game to this platform and thus won't.
Now, when you look at consoles, the Wii was vastly underpowered when compared to 360 and PS3, yet it saw fantastic third-party support. Some would argue that the third-party support wasn't games that they wanted to play, so I don't know if we're talking about quality versus quantity. And again, the quality of those third-party games, especially in the first two-thirds of the system's life, quality could be argued, because while it may not be games that your traditional gamer might want to play, I would say there were quite a few third-party games on Wii that were of very good quality, but it just didn't fit in with the more traditional gamers that wanted like first-person shooters or maybe sports games or stuff like that. And if those titles were there, the controls weren't handled in ways that made those people want to play, or they weren't even willing to try. Which is a criticism that went towards Skyward Sword. A lot of people didn't want Skyward Sword because they were like, I don't want to play with wonky motion controls, and didn't even give the game a shot. So I don't know that I would say just because the horsepower isn't there that third parties aren't going to support the system or can't make something viable or enjoyable. It's all about those companies utilizing what the system has and working with that rather than complaining about what it doesn't have.
Plus, you couple that with the fact that Nintendo fans historically do not buy third-party games and never will, no matter how much they say or pretend they will.
I know there's always been that long-standing discussion that Nintendo fans won't buy third-party games, and certainly third-party games have had issues on Nintendo platforms, and there's a number of reasons for that. And I don't think it's because we won't buy third-party games. I think it's because we get the shaft when it comes to third-party games. If we do get a third-party game, it's not at parity with other systems for whatever reason. We might get the game 6 months later, or we might get the game missing key features that are in the other versions, or we might there might be like for example Mass Effect. When Mass Effect 3 came out on the Wii U, it may have been a fantastic version of Mass Effect 3, but why would anybody buy Mass Effect 3 on Wii U when they haven't played 1 or 2 on any other systems for Nintendo? And then on top of that, why would we pay $60 for Mass Effect 3 on Wii U when you can get the Mass Effect trilogy for the same price on other systems? That doesn't make sense. And that's just one example of third-party games getting, or third-party games on Nintendo systems not getting as much care and attention, or not just making sense at all for the consumers to pick up. There's many more examples, and then on top of that, there's examples where third-party games did sell well on Nintendo systems. When you work with the system and what it can do, and reach out to the audience that system has, something like The Blob, the first The Blob is over 1 million seller, and did fantastically well. There are games that do well that are third-party games, but those games have to be catered to the audience, and don't mistreat them, and don't say, well, here's our game. It's 6 months after the original came out, and it's got less content, and it's full price, but now you didn't buy it, so we're not doing third-party support anymore. It doesn't work like that. If third-party support were to come to Nintendo systems and were at parity with what was out on PS4 and Xbox One, and then they still didn't sell, then I think there's a valid argument to be had. But we just haven't seen that. There hasn't been the parity, and there hasn't been the releases in step with the other systems for us to judge something like that.
I'm a little worried about this one. I think Nintendo needs a big win after the Wii U.
They do.
You know, in the console
really do.
in the console market. Yes, they broke into mobile, but that didn't do well with their investors.
I mean, we have Miitomo, which is what it is. Sure, you could say that was didn't go as Nintendo wanted it to. Then you have Pokemon Go, which Nintendo isn't directly, they aren't directly responsible for, but they're involved in, and obviously that was a big boom for them on mobile, and specifically how it impacted sales of the 3DS. And all Pokemon titles, and now we have Super Mario Run, which has been downloaded over 90 million times, and has been purchased over 3 million times. Obviously, they would like the purchases to be more, and we still have Android coming, and there's still price drop options, but I don't think it's a failure by any rate, even if you're just looking at the free downloads. It's getting the brand out there, which is one of the main reasons that Nintendo wanted to do mobile, is to expand the reach of their brand to help push people towards their more traditional platforms. And then on top of that, Nintendo needs a hit in the console market. Sure, that is true. But they're neglecting the 3DS, the best-selling system of this generation right now. It's not even mentioned anywhere. So Nintendo needs a console hit, but they don't give any credit to what the 3DS has been doing for Nintendo.
I'm really, really hoping that the Switch does well, but there's so many ways it could fail. The battery life could be too little. The peripherals could be, janky and not work that well.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me about this platform.
Again, battery life is brought up, and that's something we don't know. The only thing we know, we don't know. The only thing we've heard is rumor that it's 3 hours and that it could go up depending on what the game does. So we have no information about battery life, and I don't know what the threshold is for battery life that makes people go, okay, that's good enough. Is it 5 hours? Is it 4 hours? Is it 8 hours? I don't know. And then to bring up the controllers, they're going to be janky. I don't know what that means at all. Only thing we've seen controllers used for so far, just traditional control inputs, joysticks and buttons and shoulder buttons. That's it. What's the jankiness there? Are they talking about sliding it back into the Switch? Or are they talking about how it feels when you hold it? Or are they talking about the rumored motion controls? I don't know, but it's such a weird thing to say. It's basically like they could come up with any point that is a problem. They could be like, what if the screen gets too hot? What if you can't see the screen properly when the sun is blaring down on it? What if the system's speakers aren't very good? Sure, you could come up with 8 million reasons for things we don't even know or are just guessing at this point, but that just seems unfair.
And then we're seeing, when it runs on the screen, it runs at a lower FPS than it does when it's docked. I mean, all that stuff is super concerning this early.
I need to know where this information is coming from, because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything like that. We have the Switch trailer, which had footage superimposed on the system. and we had Jimmy Fallon, which is you're just looking off screen, and all indications are that it runs better on Switch, or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild runs better on Switch than it does on Wii U. I haven't seen any official documentation. I haven't heard any developers. I haven't heard Nintendo say anything about lower frame rates on the system when you're just playing on the go versus on it being docked. Nothing official, and we certainly haven't seen any footage. So this is just pulled out of thin air.
As a console, it's not going to be great when put next to the PS4 or the Xbox One. It's got no VR capabilities. It's 1080p. I mean, people have even said, like, it can do VR. No, you don't want a 720p screen on your face for VR. Trust me, you just don't. It just doesn't work.
So the whole VR thing, as you guys know, there's been patents for VR. There's been rumors of their doing some kind of implementation of VR. We don't know. And the 1080p and whatever resolution, we don't know that for sure either. Again, like, okay, we don't want, let's say it's 720p, whatever, we don't want VR at that. Okay, why? Like, I'm not a developer. I haven't heard what developers say. This guy's not a developer. Like, he says, trust him. I don't trust you. You're not a developer. I don't know what developers can do. There's developers that have made systems do things that many expected they couldn't do. That's what the hardware race used to be about when it came to consoles. It was all about squeezing every last little drop of power, every last little thing you could get out of a system, out of it to impress with what you could do. So as far as VR on a 720p, which again, we don't know, resolution or anything like that, I'm not going to believe his statement until I do see things either implemented by developers that makes me go like, okay, it's not really working, or developers say it's not really going to work out right. And then there's the comment about 1080p, just a throwaway comment about how that's bad. Like, this is something that annoys me so much, why resolution matters so much to video games. Like, I didn't care about the resolution when I was playing the NES. I don't care about the resolution now. I know there are people that care. I just am blown away that someone, would walk into a store and see a system that has whatever games on it and be like, man, those games look awesome. I want to play those. Oh, is this 1080p? Forget it. I only do 4K. Like, I don't get that at all. If like you only care about resolutions and stuff like that, then why are you playing on any console at all? You wouldn't be playing on PS4 or Xbox One. You'd be playing on PC. You're going to get the best graphics there. You're going to get the highest resolutions there. It would make all other systems pointless if you only care about those resolutions. And again, this could be something coming from just like my generation of gamer, because like I'm into systems to play the games. I'm not there because I'm like, I can't wait to see what resolution output this does. Like, doesn't matter. That doesn't. If I'm playing a game of 4K or if I'm playing it in 1080p, it doesn't make it more fun. I don't look at my 3DS and I'm like, boy, this screen resolution really makes this game suck. The only thing I ever think is, boy, sometimes I would like to play this on my TV screen, back like you used to do with like Game Boy games on the Super Game Boy or something like that. And I didn't care about how chunky or blown up or any of those games looked. I just liked being able to sit on the couch and play it on a bigger screen just for my eyes. And that's why the Switch interests me, because I can do both. And I tend to be more of a TV console gamer than I do portable gamer, just because my eyes aren't all that great. So resolution doesn't matter to me, just bigger. That's all. And that's what the Switch has given me. But again, maybe I'm just out of sync with today's gamers. Maybe they do really care about 4K and 1080p and all that stuff. And if systems don't do that, they don't want them, which, like I said, blows my mind. I'm in it for the games, but I'm old school.
But Nintendo always does this thing, and I've noticed this as a lifelong Nintendo fan, is like they have an announcement or there's a rumor or there's something like that, and then all of a sudden you start to see all the holes in it. It sounds like the greatest thing in the world. They're like, hey, Super Mario Run, it's going to be this, this, and this. Oh, it's $9.99. Oh, it's always online. Oh, it's only 24 levels.
This Super Mario Run thing is going to haunt me forever. I've already did a video about the price on this thing, so you know how I feel about that. I don't get the whole argument. Like, how many levels should you get for $10? What's the acceptable amount? If they were like 48 levels for $10, you'd be like, okay. But if they were 42, you'd be like, no, that's crazy. What's Nintendo crazy? Trying to charge $10 for that? And it's $10. $10 on a device you've paid hundreds of dollars for. Let's say, if you're going without contract, what, $600, $800? And even if you're going with a contract, $200, $300, and a game comes along that's $10 and you're like, no way, what is Nintendo crazy? No thanks, Nintendo. You're not going to rip me off on this one. I don't get it. But it's your $10. You can do whatever you want with it. And if you don't want to buy Super Mario Run, don't buy it. Just another argument I don't get.
The NES Classic, you're like, oh, this thing looks awesome. Oh, you can't pre-order it. Oh, you have to get up to reset it.
The cord is
the cords are 3 feet long.
This whole discussion about the NES Classic Edition is like the perfect way to showcase how entitled gamers are nowadays. This is it. This is the stuff that really gets me. NES Classic Edition, controller cords being too short. Worth complaining about? Sure. Big deal? Is it really a big deal? You plug the thing in, you might have to move it a little closer than you would any other system, and then you play it. That's all there is to it. Is it annoying? Sure, maybe it's a little annoying, and then you get over it and you play it. Or you buy a controller that's wireless. Or you use a classic controller that you already have. I don't understand it. Like, are people really that annoyed by it? If someone was like, the controller doesn't work, then I'd be like, okay, that's a big issue. People are like, controller's short. I'm like, yeah, it is short, but you just drag it away from your TV, which I've done like 8 million times now, and I don't have it, I do it in the beginning, and sure, maybe at first I was like, oh, hold on, I gotta move this thing away from the TV. And then what do? I play it with friends for 2 hours, and we never talk about that again. And then he's talking about upsides and downsides to Nintendo stuff, and he says you can't pre-order. That's something that's still sticking with you? Like, you couldn't pre-order when it came out. Annoying, sure. But now, that's still a gripe. This many months after systems come out, you're like, oh, you can't pre-order? Still annoying to me. I don't get it. And the reset button. You gotta hit the reset button to go back to the menu. Goddamn Nintendo. Annoying? Sure. Deal breaker? Is it really a deal breaker? Like, I guess for some people it is. Maybe I'm too easygoing? I don't know. It's not like a major gripe to me. Like, how often are you hitting the reset button? I guess if you're doing save states all the time and changing games every 5 minutes, you do it a lot. But there's controller combinations on controllers that Nintendo put out and third-party controllers where you don't have to do that. You just hit the button, or you hit the 2 buttons and it takes you back to the menu. So, like, there's solutions there, and you most likely already have one of the solutions. And even if you don't, it's really that much of a problem to hit the reset button?
I want it to be great. I want it to be awesome. I really wish that this could be the thing where, Nintendo goes, oh, okay, we'll sort of toe the line now, and we'll, get people back on board with, just get some third party stuff on there. Like, I mean, it's weird to think that games I love on like Sony platforms started out on Nintendo. Like I love the PlayStation because it's kind of the Super Nintendo, which the N64 wasn't. And it's just, I want them to do something that like completely makes me go, oh yeah, gimme, I want that now. But I
bring back Mega Man.
Yeah, I mean they're going to have to do a lot to make me even like remotely consider pre-ordering.
What do you want from the Switch? What do you want? I don't know what you want. Do you know what you want? I don't know if you know what you want because it doesn't sound like you know it. Third parties. I want another system that third-party content is on. Again, if you are picking the Switch as your only system, then I guess you do want every third-party game that's there. Or that's there on PS4 and Xbox One. Okay, but again, I don't think many people are doing that because they know that's not going to be the case. Even Nintendo's doing their own thing, which is what they've always done, and you would imagine that the Switch would be a sister system for, or a supplementary system for people that have a PS4 and Xbox One. I would like to know out of this panel how many people own a PS4 and an Xbox One, because if they're talking about third-party content, it would make no sense to own an Xbox One or a PS4, or to own Xbox One and PS4, because the third-party parity between the two is almost 100%. If there's a third-party game coming out one, it's most likely coming out on the other. So if they own both those systems, that makes no sense to me at all, because their argument is, well, Nintendo only gets their first-party stuff and not a lot of third-party. So if you got an Xbox One or a PS4, you're getting largely the same amount of third-party content, and it seems like third-party is really important to them. So what are they buying both systems for? The Halo on one or the Uncharted on the other? Why is that one okay for both systems, but so many first-party games on Nintendo is not okay or not enough reason. Again, I don't know how many of them own both systems, but I would really like to find that out.
I mean, like, let's look at some of the biggest third-party games of 2017. Right off the bat, you have Red Dead not coming, Mass Effect Andromeda not coming. I mean, I'm sure that
Not yet. I mean, they're still open to the idea.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's not a good sign if they're not in talks already.
I know that.
Mass Effect Andromeda definitely not coming to the Switch, at least when that game launches. EA has said there's no plans for it right now, but they're not completely shutting out the idea. But even if we were getting Mass Effect Andromeda on the Switch, it's not going to be there day one with the other games, or with the other versions on PS4 and Xbox One or PC, because they've been in development a lot longer than developers have known the specs for the Switch, so it just wouldn't be possible. Let's say they were working on that, maybe it'd come out a year later or something like that. And again, you're in the situation where a third party is on Nintendo systems giving those owners a game that came out, as far as game industry goes, a very long time ago. So they're not likely to pick up that game at the same price when it only has a couple extra bells and whistles, where they have PS4, Xbox One, or PC to pick it up on. So most likely not going to sell well. And then they'll go, we'll see, nobody wants our games. No, we want them the same time. We want them the same experience. Even if the visuals are of a lesser quality, if they could still give us the same features and the same release date, then I think they'd get a much better situation out of it. I think more people would be willing to pick it up, because if you're getting a Switch, the majority of people know that it's not going to be as graphically high scaled as it is on the other systems. But if you get the same features and characteristics and the same content, then I think people would be more willing to accept that. And then you have Red Dead Redemption 2, which, just as far as we know, isn't happening, so I really don't have anything to say about that. Would certainly be nice to be on that system, or to have it on the Switch, but as far as we know, it's not happening. So there's two games, and the Mass Effect Andromeda has come up twice, and Red Dead Redemption came up once, but these are really sticking points for these guys to be like, see, look, there's not stuff coming out on this system from third parties, and those are two big games, so we should worry. So there you go. That's my reaction to the IGN feature. And again, I'm not knocking any of these people. I'm not trying to bash these people. I'm not trying to belittle them. I'm not trying to be rude or mean. I just feel, it's like a back and forth that I wish I could be sitting there having with them. And I'm not saying every point they make is wrong. They have some valid points for sure. But I feel like they're a little uninformed in some areas, and I struggle to see their viewpoints in some, and I would love to be there with them to discuss it, because I want to see how they're thinking and where they're coming from and what exactly they want. Because I think nowadays it's just very easy to jump on Nintendo and be like, they're not doing this, that, or the other thing. They're not doing what Microsoft and Sony are doing, so they're crazy and they're not going to get anybody's love. I would love to be in on these discussions, but as of right now, this is the best I can do. So I don't know if this was annoying, or if this makes me sound like an asshole, or if it was entertaining or whatever, but just giving it a shot. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you thought of what I had to say, where I'm wrong, where I'm right, where you'd like to discuss things with me, what you thought of what the IGN crew said, and if you like this idea, if you like hearing me discuss things like this, let me know, and I'll look into it in the future when other things hit me like this and I have some discussion to bring up. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you whenever the next discussion hits.